We begin our tragic tale on the Eastern Front, where the Soviets and the Nazis are as tense as possible. We focus into a small camp in a small town, known as Treblinka. Get down, filthy Jew. Time to die, deceitful Jew. This execution only brings one of 8.5 million Jews that were mercilessly killed over the span of World War II. We continue on to a war, only known as the Battle of Stalingrad, leaving 1.8 to 2 million people wounded, captured, or dead, making one of the bloodiest battles ever.
Ja, mein Führer. Long live the alien race. Stop, Suka.
Comrades, we have confirmed reports of tank presence controlled by the Germans.
Thank you.
As the Panzer tanks rolled in, the death count was sky-rising, and the German soldiers that were captured were released, so the Russian army was pummeled in this battle. On the Soviet side of the war, a war cry was commencing for the next battle. This would be a very important battle, one that could decide the fate of the war.
Let the manly images of our great ancestors, Alexander Nevsky, Dmitry Donovsky, Kuzma Minin, Dmitry Pozarsky, Alexander Suvorov, and Nikol Kutuzov inspire you in this war. May the victorious banner of the great Lenin be your lodestar for the complete destruction of the German invaders. Death to the German invaders! Long live our glorious motherland, her liberty, and her independence, under the banner of Lenin. Forward to victory!
The Russians could not afford loss here. That would inevitably lead to the Germans' victory. Same with the Germans.
A gigantic terminal's there, and I wanted to take it. But as you know, we are modest. That is to say that. We have it now. Only a few small pockets of resistance are left. Some would say, why not fight onwards? Because I don't want a second Verdun. I would rather hold this with small combat patrols. Time does not matter. No ships are coming up from the Volga. That is the important point. If we capture this area, we will conquer Ukraine and even potentially Russia. On the war, for the soldiers who died, for the soldiers alive, we will conquer and win the war. Sieg Heil!
The day is here. It has come. The day of the battle of to rule all is held, the invasion of Russia. Or so it seems. Come on, how can Blizzard's closing now?
Get to all Russians!
Иди нахуй, собака!
No!
This strategically planted silly string represents snow, which the Germans got pelted with going to the front lines. As these heinous acts are occurring on the Eastern Front, the Western Front had its own problems. This strategic attack on Hawaii's naval system caused 4,000 dead or injured and 18 warships sunk. Only one day after the attack, the United States responded.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces by the Empire of Japan. The United States was at the moment at peace with the nation and was still in conversation with its government and emperor, looking for the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after Japanese air squadrons commenced the bombing in Dadu, Hawaii, the Japanese ambassador to the United States and his colleagues delivered to the Secretary of State a formal reply to a recent message. While this reply stated it seemed diplomatic negotiations contained no threat or hint of an armed attack. It will also be recorded on the distance between Hawaii and Japan that the assault was obviously planned days or even weeks ago. During the intervening time, the Japanese government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false expressions, statements for hope, of continued peace.
As the war drew on, the U.S. hatched a plan. They would take the war to a whole new level, the nuclear level.
Death to all communist scum.
Emperor Showa knew he could not keep up with a nuclear war or jeopardize the citizens' welfare, so he gave this speech backing out from the war.
After pondering deeply the general trends of the world and actual conditions of obtaining our empire today, we have decided to effect settlement of the present situation by resorting to an extraordinary measure. We have ordered our government to communicate to the governments of the United States, Great Britain, China, and the Soviet Union that our empire accepts the provisions of their joint declaration. To strive for the common prosperity and happiness of all nations, as well as the security and well-being of our subjects, is the solemn obligation which has been handed down by our imperial ancestors, and which we weigh close to heart indeed. We declared war on America and Britain out of sincere desire to secure Japan's self-preservation and the stabilization of East Asia, it being far from our thought to either infringe upon the sovereignty of our nations or to embark upon territorial aggressment. But now, the war has lasted for nearly 4 years, despite the best that has been done by everyone, the gallant fighting of the military and naval forces, the diligence and assiduity of our servants of the state, and devoted service of our 100 million people. The war situation has developed not necessarily to Japan's advantage, while the general trends of the world have been turned against her interest. Moreover, the enemy has begun to employ a new and most crucial bomb, the power to do damage, which is incalculable, taking the toll of many innocent lives. Should we continue to fight, it should not only result in ultimate collapse and obliteration of the Japanese nation, but also would lead to the total extinction of human civilization. Such being the case, how are we to save the millions of our subjects, or to atone ourselves before our hallowed spirits of our imperial ancestors? This is the reason why we have ordered the acceptance of the provisions of the Joint Declaration of Powers. We cannot but express the deepest sense of our regret to our allied nations of East Asia, who have consistently cooperated with the empire towards the capitation of East Asia. Though the thought of those officers and men, as well as others who have fallen in the fields of battle, those who died at their posts of duty, those who met with ultimately death, and all their bereaved families, pains our heart night and day. The welfare of the wounded and the war sufferers, and to those who have lost their home and livelihood, are the objects to our profound solitude. The hardships and sufferings to which our nation will be subjected hereafter will be certainly great. We are keenly aware in the inmost feelings of all ye, our subjects. However, it is according to a dictate of time and fate that we have resolved to pave the way for grand peace, for all the generations to come by, enduring the endurable and suffering what is insufferable. Having been able to safeguard and maintain the structure of the imperial state, we are always with ye, our good and loyal subjects, relying on your sincerity and integrity. Beware most strictly of any outbursts of emotion which may endanger needless complications, or any fraternal condition and strife which may create confusion, lead ye astray, and cause ye to lose the confidence of the world. Let the entire nation continue as one family from generation to generation, ever firm in its faith of the imperishableness of its divine land, and mindful of its heavy burden of responsibilities and the long road before it. Unite your total strength to be devoted to the construction for the future. Cultivate the ways of rectitude. foster nobility of spirit, and work with resolution, so as ye may enhance the initiate glory of the imperial state, and keep pace with the progress of the world.
As the Japanese surrendered, so did Asia, and many legions after, making the US and Allies win. As the battles in the West and the East are raging, we take it to the start of the war, to France.
Hello, Genos. Yeah. Do you know why the France put so many trees on their walkways? Why? Because us Germans like walking in the shade.
What do you want? We don't speak croissant.
Well, looks like our job here is done.
As some would know, this joke referenced the surrender of France in both world wars, simply because Germans came marching in.
Thanks for watching our horribly made video.
Really bad.
That was awesome.